That's your green light for the Veterans Day.
Oh,
Supposed to put that out front and burn it all week.
it shouldn't be that long ago.
Take one over this week. This week.
Maybe that one. Veterans Day is Friday.
Veterans Day is Friday. I think it was a 2-week of.
One over there to James and he'll do it.
Yeah.
You know how particular he is about that stuff.
Particular about his yard. Keep telling him.
Okay.
I can't do that.
I was talking to
Can't do that with him.
Judge Rue the other day about it.
He didn't get on the gym, the Anderson guy.
All right.
Oh, okay.
Can you hear me?
We got 3 minutes.
Dorothy.
So the tax.
Hey, John, lower mine.
Dude, just pull it toward.
I
You
did.
got to lean to it.
It's just here.
That is a green light bulb, y'all. Appreciate it. Veterans.
Yeah.
But we asked him here. He asked him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. You're good. Cody gang.
No. Oh no. Oh, oh yeah. Oh, dude. Okay. And BJ's coming. He said he'd be a few minutes late. We got 2 minutes. I hear myself.
There's an echo in here.
It's on my phone.
Am I hearing echoes? All right, that's for judges, which I have this. Yeah. But I had it. They gave it to us the other day. So
This is, the one I handed out is different.
I didn't get a handout
Okay, let me go grab
unless this is it.
one. No, I don't think it's it.
This is the one I printed.
I had 2 people sign up for after I sent it out.
Okay. All right.
Talking about Jeff Maley and Travis Hawkins.
Yeah. See, I didn't have one that said that. Hello. Sitting here.
How long? 3 minutes.
30 seconds. No, 40 seconds. 35 seconds. I just don't have enough room up here.
No, but I got.
It's quiet. All right. I'd like to welcome everyone to the November 6, 2023 Scotland County Board of Commissioners meeting. And we will start off with an invocation by Commissioner Alford.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We ask your blessings upon this county, of our citizens, this board. And we ask that you have mercy on the nation of Israel and the Palestinians. We ask that you just touch the hearts of the leaders so that they would do the right thing by the innocent souls. And oh Lord, we ask now that you bless this board and may all our decision be in the best interest of our citizen. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
All right. If you'd stand for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moving along for next item is approval of the agenda. if everyone's had a chance to review the agenda, we need a motion for that.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Next thing will be our public forum. Before I do that, I wanted to recognize Jenna Maley, who is here tonight, who is our new librarian for Scotland County. So stand up, Jenna. Look forward to what she's going to do there. So thank you. We have two folks signed up for the public forum. So we'll ask Travis Hawkins to come first. State your name and address, and there again, there's a 3-minute time limit on it that Jason will keep up with that. So,
Sure.
okay.
Travis Hawkins, address is 33360 Hill Creek Road, Wagram. And Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, thank you for your time. I wanted to bring to the board's attentions an issue in our community dealing with children's mental health in hopes of getting your assistance in making a positive change. You see, in Scotland County, when a child attempts to take their own life and are rushed to the ER at Scotland Memorial, they are given life-saving care, and when stabilized and deemed no longer in medical danger, they must be transported to a facility that can further provide care. This transport is carried out by a sheriff's deputy who shows up at the hospital with chains and handcuffs. The child is then handcuffed and or shackled, marched out of the hospital, and placed into a deputy's patrol car. Then, without a parent or guardian, they are transported to a medical facility, sometimes hours away. I know this because just days ago, my wife and I experienced it. Now, I've spoken at length with our sheriff, and I have no complaint with his office. It is my belief that this is a duty that his office would prefer not to have. However, like several other counties in the state of North Carolina, this duty falls to the sheriff because Scotland County has no other means to transport these child patients. Some counties have figured this out and have taken this responsibility from the sheriff's office. At the moment, I'm not concerned with other counties. I would like this board's assistance to find a better way of transporting our children who are in need of medical care, who are medical patients, not criminals. I'm working to raise awareness of this issue in our community in hopes that other Scotland County children and families will not have to suffer further trauma when they need our help the most. I look forward to speaking to each of you in the coming weeks and working with you in hopes of finding a solution to this issue. Thank you.
I have a question.
Hold on just a second. Go ahead.
Yes, sir.
Are any of these children violent, or they're just?
No, sir. In our particular case, our child attempted to take her own life. She made no threats to anybody else. And speaking with the sheriff, it's my understanding that this is simply the way it is done. Unless the county contracts or provides other means to transport them, it falls to the sheriff. And the sheriff,
And he has to treat them as a criminal?
it is the policy of the sheriff's office that anybody who is transported by a sheriff's deputy in a patrol car must be restrained.
Well, that's treated like a criminal.
I guess my question, and you may not know the answer to this, is are there contractable companies out there to do that?
Yes, sir. And that would be my recommendation, is to start with finding the counties in North Carolina that already have those services available and have taken it from the sheriff, and finding out who they contract with, what is the impacts on that county, what does it cost, what is the cost? If we're going to invest in something, I feel like this is an area that we should.
That out. Anybody else got anything? All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate you coming. Next is Jeff Maley.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Manager. I just wanted to come as a citizen and a father. Many of you know I'm a Parks and Rec employee, a county employee, but I wanted to come tonight as a resident of Scotland County and just thank y'all so much for the work and the money and time y'all invested in the Scotland Yard Playground. I'm a father of 2 young children, and to see that project from start to finish was an amazing endeavor, and I'm glad I'm going to be able to share that with my kids. One of them's about to be 2, and the other one's 4 months. I got a late start, but they're going to enjoy that playground for a long time. And I just wanted to come as a father and a citizen to just thank you all. Director Graham thanked y'all last month on behalf of our department, but it was just an amazing endeavor. And I'm hoping as being a part of that y'all getting good reviews on the new playground, the new structure. Seeing how there's a lot of people out there, it looks like it's being well received. So just thank y'all so much for what y'all did. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you. Yeah, from the day of the opening, there was a lot of people there that day, and every time I go by there since, there's a crowd of folks out there. So, all right, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Jeff Maley and I see Brian back here too. They are tremendously responsible for all that good work. And I think I'd like to recognize the 2 of them and all Parks and Rec and all the volunteers who
Yeah,
did a great job.
I think they all put about 90 hours a weekend during that time.
Brian said he hadn't seen Jeff in 2 months.
So if you haven't seen it, go out and look. I mean, it is really is better than what I thought it would be. So, and more stuff, if you want to call it that. So thank you. All right, moving along to the consent agenda. Do we have a motion for the consent agenda? Do we have a motion? Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, moving right along to the court system proposal. Judge Amy Wilson and Judge Chris Rue, we have you both on the list, so don't get too comfortable. That's all you said. And anybody else you want to bring? I see Brandy coming, so.
Just all, we're coming together. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Madam County Manager, Mr. Johnson, and all the board. We are so thankful to be here today and so thankful that you gave us a few minutes of your time. I'm Amy Wilson, and I'm our Chief District Court Judge for the counties of Richmond, Anson, and Scotland. And I have been the chief for 5 years and a judge for 15. And we are here just to take a very few minutes of your time to talk about something that we feel very passionate about. We have a big group from the courthouse here. We won't, again, don't be scared. We're not going to take up a lot of your time. I know. But we started, I'll just give you a little bit of background. We started about 2 years ago with a permanency collaborative. And that is in our DSS court because we were trying to shrink the number of days it takes to get a child back into their home or a safe home. We call it permanence. And whether it's with their parents or somebody else, we know that that's better. And we've done a lot of good. We've made some progress, but we're limited in what we could do. But as a part of that, we kind of began looking at family treatment court. And that's very much recovery courts in North Carolina are on the move. They're on the rise. And we started visiting some other courts. Robinson County actually has a model family treatment court. So we started doing some of those things, and we're to the point now where we think we're ready to take a step. And why family treatment court? Again, it brings that permanence a lot quicker. We have a lot more services in place for the parents, and we give them a chance to either reunite or not. And if they can't, we move on. We know that substance abuse is a major part of this, major part. And so that's why we're here. We don't really stand to benefit, any of us, from this. What we're trying to do is make a difference. And I know that sounds cliche, but we really are just trying to do what we can for the children and the families of Scotland County. And it seemed like a natural place to start here because we'd already formed that collaborative group. So we're going to show you just a very quick video, and then I'm going to move on and let somebody else speak. This first slide shows all the counties where there are some kind of recovery court. Now there's adult treatment, family treatment, mental health, DWI, veterans, youth, and you can see they're popping up more. But in our area, there's a very big place where there's not any. And we certainly want to bring this to Scotland County. We believe that if we can make an impact for the families and children in Scotland County, we will have done our job. So I'm going to step aside. We're going to watch the short video. Then I'll step aside and let Brent. Also have Judge Root and Judge Crawford came all the way from Anson County. We're very much on board as a team with this. And when I step aside, I'll let them talk, and I may come up and say a few words. But we were listening and reading some other stuff, and another judge somewhere, I don't have the judge's name, said, we're not trying to get these children back for the parents, but we're trying to get these parents back for children. And that's, to me, is key. And that's why we're here. That's why we're taking the time to do this. And we appreciate your attention. We know that your interest also is for the best interest of the kids and families and folks in Scotland County. And so I'll stand aside and let this group talk. And if you have questions, we'll be glad to answer them as best we can.
Who's got the, you don't have a video? Hold on. Do we have a video? Was it in that?
Slide one. That's slide
It's
number
in
one.
here somewhere. Okay.
It's that first
Oh,
one she
so
said.
let's go back.
I think we went past it.
Okay.
There it is.
Oh, this is video. Okay. Is there a link or- No, it's just a picture.
If you play the slideshow, then maybe
Right,
slideshow.
right there.
Well, yeah, that exits to the full slideshow that we were just in.
Mhm. No, just the one. It's not.
We'll be the video. We'll do
Okay.
All right.
Good evening. My name is Brandy Jones Bullock, and I am the DSS attorney here in Scotland County. Just to give you some more information about what this family treatment court system looks like. This is a parallel court system to our DSS courts. Once a parent or parents come into the DSS court system with a petition, they will go through adjudication and their child will be adjudicated abused, neglected, or dependent. At the same time, the court system or DSS would look at that parent to determine what are their issues. Do they have substance abuse issues? Or do we believe they can be reunified with this child? If so, they may be a good candidate for family treatment court. At that point, they would enter family treatment court as a parallel court to the DSS court. So they would be going to that court at the same time. Family treatment court is every 2 weeks. DSS court, not so much. It could be that they go to DSS court every 60 days, every 90 days, possibly every 6 months. But family treatment court is an ongoing every 2-week process. There are incentives and there are also sanctions. So in that treatment court, we want to make sure that those parents are going to their substance abuse classes. They're going to their mental health treatment. They are doing those things to bring about permanence with their child. In the DSS court, our social workers, we have Ms. Kimberly McCrae here, who's our interim director. Also have Shannon Hammonds and Wendy Stanton here, who are our program managers in the child welfare unit and CPS unit. But our social workers have a lot of cases, and they're not necessarily able to handhold all of those parents. When we have the family treatment court system, we have the ability to do more handholding with these parents. We have peer support specialists as well as a coordinator that are able to help parents on their journey. DSS is able to assess their needs, as I said, and parents, and so is a judge. And they are given certain things that they have to do. For example, substance abuse treatment, mental health treatment, parenting classes, domestic violence classes. And that's a lot to do for a parent. In addition to make sure that you are visiting your child and doing all those things, some parents might have transportation issues. They might have housing issues. And so when you have extra supports for parents to be able to do all of these things, then you have a better outcome for parents and for children. And that's what these family treatments are for. They're for parents to have extra support, more encouragement from additional people and from the judge. You don't get that necessarily in DSS court because you don't get that personal touch. It's much more formal, but in family treatment court, you do. right now we see a huge uptick in babies that are born positive with drugs in their system, and so we are trying to get to those families much earlier. We see that, and we see substance abuse issues in those mothers, and also housing issues in those mothers. So if we can get to those parents earlier, then we can bring about permanence back to those parents. We have a budget for you, and so perhaps you've just received that handout for the budget. There are several operating expenses that we will need to run this, and you can see those totals there on the side. For operating expenses, data collection software, drug testing. The way drug testing works is each parent will get a color, and so generally we'll call out that color and call the parents and say, all right, this is a blue color today. So everybody that's on blue, it's time for you to get drug tested. And so all those parents on blue would get drug tested that day. So we need a way to do drug testing, office supplies, incentives, that type of thing. As I said, we're working on incentives for parents to make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to do. So those operating expenses are there for you to see. Training. There is national training, and the entire team is expected to be trained at a national training. There are several members of the team. It's about 10. And so at least for the first year, all of those members are expected to be trained. We're looking at DSS social worker or supervisor, all the members, the coordinator, all those members of the team, the judge. And so that's why you see training there, at least 10, and also in-house training there. Treatment. There are times whenever parents do not have insurance or any type of insurance to be able to pay for substance treatment or mental health treatment. And most likely, and all of these parents, pretty much we see in most of our cases that come into DSS, most of these parents have substance issues. And so we were asking for funds to be able to pay for substance treatment. There are recovery support services such as transportation, transitional housing, and as I said earlier, as parents move along on their journey, they're getting better. And so the judge would like to reward them with more visitation with their children. We can't put that on our social workers because our social workers are already overworked. And so we'd like to put that in there to be able to have someone be able to supervise those additional visits with their children, because children, they love their parents and they want to see their parents, and their parents want to see them as well. So the more visitation we can get, the faster we can bring about permanence. And the last section that you see is personnel. We really need a case coordinator. That is the most important person that we need. The peer support specialist we need as well. We need at least one. We'd love to have two, but we need at least one. We believe that Indigent Defense Services will pay for the attorney. We've put that there just in case they don't, but we believe that they will pay for the attorney there. Someone from the public defender's office or an attorney in the community would do that. And we have Jonathan McInnes here who is our public defender that is here to take any questions that you have about that. And also marketing. So we have a figure there. So our ask, that's what we're asking for. We're starting out. And so we need funds to be able to start and be able to move along in this program. And so that's what we're asking for today. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
I'm coming back as the judge because Brandy does an amazing job. I'll say that. Y'all have done a great job with your attorney. But as a part of the handholding and as a part of the incentives, there's also very much a tough love kind of component in that they have to consent to be in this program. And if they do not do what they're supposed to do, they can be held in contempt and placed in jail. So it is both. We temper justice with mercy. We help. But it also, there's a way to punish them. There's a punishment component if and when they don't follow through. And I'll say this, and then we're going to let Judge Rue, our local judge, talk a few minutes. But I'll say that the Family Treatment Court, we believe, will save they are saving counties money everywhere that they're working, because it reduces incarceration spending. It reduces spending on foster care. Foster care is very expensive, and we know every time a child lays their head on a pillow, that's money that you're having to pay if it's a foster home. It reduces healthcare costs. It keeps communities safer. It saves lives. And this is really about what that's about. And also it's helping parents to get clean and sober. And we believe when that happens, it helps the school system, it helps law enforcement. It just has a very positive impact on the whole county. And that's all I wanted to say. Yes, Chief, yes.
I do have a question about this line item.
Okay.
FTC personnel. How many personnel?
Well, that's a good question. And we have worked with the state, the administrative office of the courts has a family or a treatment court specialist. Her name is Alexia Stith, and she's been to visit. So we are getting our figures from them. We will definitely need a coordinator. We need a coordinator, probably a peer support or two. And then as we grow, extra support. But the number one thing we need right now is a coordinator.
But the reason I asked, because that's your most expensive line item.
Right.
There is another paper that's in I believe
It's in
the
your packet.
larger packet.
Yes.
That shows the breakdown of salary and benefits. And so it shows it.
And I will say, when you look at this, it may be shocking because we all live in a small town and we know that not everybody makes a salary that high, but how they explain it to us is that includes all the benefits involved. That includes all the things they have, insurance. So that's a salary package. The there's probably a breakdown, I think, in your package. The salary itself is not nearly that high.
This grant administrator.
Yes, because the plan is, and this is how it works other places, once we get up and running and we believe we're going to get to do this, we hope and pray, then the reason we need a coordinator is because there's a lot of money out there. And so that person would begin to write grants right off the bat. So eventually we would hope to be self-supporting.
Self-sufficient.
Yes, self-sufficient. That person would start with writing grants. There's just grants. And right now, the impact of this is so great and the results are so good that there are monies available for that. But we have to start somewhere. And so we need to get started. And then that person would immediately start writing grants and trying to get money. We've been told the Robinson County group, the UNCP, the Master of Social Work program, there's somebody in there that wrote their different ways. It'll be a collaboration.
Blue. For different.
Yeah.
My other question would be, are there consequences
Yes.
if they're ordered to be in this program
Absolutely.
and they don't go to drug treatment? And
Absolutely. That we went to see it. The two social work supervisors, Ms. Jones Bullock and myself, went to Scott County. We didn't know what we were going to see when we got there. Well, I'm sorry, Robinson County. We got there and there's a team, there's an advisory team. So we're looking for some of y'all, assuming you support this, to serve with us on that. There's an advisory team, and then there's the working team that does the work, in the program. We saw the working team at work, and they meet before court, and they talk. I mean, they say, this one didn't come, that one didn't come, whatever. And then the parents are there lined up with their children. So that's the next component. And they're coming in. Most of them were very successful. There were some that were not, and there were some that came in handcuffs because there is. I mean, let's face it. We want to be hopeful, but we know not everybody's going to do what they're supposed to do. And if we can make a difference, we want to do that. But there's going to be some that they're not going to accept mercy. You're going to have to show justice. We just know that's how it is.
Judge, who would be the administrator as far as picking up parents who don't follow the court orders from the judge? Would it be the sheriff department, police
Yes.
department?
The judge, and you can answer, but the judge that holds the treatment court has this, it's a judge. So they have the power to say yes. And the families that go into this program do it with the consent of their lawyer. And they do it because there's a ton of help. There's a ton of resources that like Brandy said, there's just a lot of extra stuff. Like, for example, some of those people were at a home called Our House with their children in an apartment. There are a lot of benefits, but then there are definitely there's punishment when they don't do what they're supposed to. Yes.
I don't want to speak out of turn, but to
Yes.
address that
I'm gonna let you,
question.
come on up.
Under the current system that we have in court, of course, people get in trouble if they don't follow what the judge does. What's different here is the issue of time. How long does it take to get them back into court to face consequences if they've fallen off the train? Under the current system, because of the timing, the statutory dates of the timing that we have these comeback hearings, they have special names you probably don't care about, permanency planning and stuff like that, review hearings. Under that schedule, it may be as long as 6 months before these people come back, believe it or not, into court if they're not doing what they're supposed to do, if they're testing positive, things like this. By entering this program, they have to sign a contract to enter the program. a specific AOC form, that they permit the contempt hearing to be expedited much faster. In fact, this court, if someone enters this program, at least on the Robeson County model, and we would try to model this program after Robeson to some degree, but individualize it for our county, is that it's every 2 weeks. So you could get someone back in to address an issue within 2 weeks and not a matter of months. And it's much more likely that they will be successful. Now, some people inevitably won't, but some people inevitably will. And we have to be hopeful for the people that will make it, reunite with their families. And I don't know if that answers the question, Mr. Commissioner. But I'm going to go back because we were supposed to
Yes.
speak in a certain order.
That's okay. I think it's your turn. So you go ahead.
Well, I'm going to say, I only had to drive from Wagram tonight to get here. Judge Crawford drove all the way from Wadesboro, so I want to give her a
Yes,
chance.
yes.
All right, because I
opportunity to
drove,
speak.
I shouldn't have to speak like. So, I guess, have y'all heard the saying, but for the grace of God, there go I? When I go into this court, this is probably the only court that I can get teared up on the bench because I think about all the things that could have happened to me and could have happened to my children. So I think, but for the grace of God, there go I, and but for the grace of God, there go my children. And there's nothing that hurts more than seeing two little boys, like maybe 12 and 14, come to court crying in a, we want to come home. And she has an alcohol. So in juvenile court, we try to get things fixed. So we come back and I'm like, I think she's going to be able to do it. They come back suit and tie, happy, doing very well in school, doing good all across the board. And mom comes out and she has on orange. Do y'all know what that means? I know y'all don't come to court, but that means you're in jail. Which means she wasn't able to do what she needed to do for her boys to be back with her. They didn't care that she was an alcoholic. They didn't care that she didn't have a great home. All they wanted was family. And if we don't have a good foundation with our families, all the trouble you see in these big cities is coming this way. And then it's going to get to Anson. And I don't want it in Anson. Start with the foundation and bridge the gap that we're not able to bridge now. It'll make a difference in our children's lives, our lives, and generations to come. I know that figure is probably like, oh my God. But let me tell you, it's probably not enough for what we need for these families. And I hope you'll agree to that amount. And I'll let Chris, I'm
Thank
sorry,
you,
Judge
Sid.
Root.
No. I love you, Sid. I tell you, that was great. But good evening, everybody. I want to say a few words to you. Of course, I'm Chris Root, the only one of the 6 judges from Scotland County. Very proud to be here in my hometown tonight to speak about this to you all. One of my favorite people in history is Mr. Nelson Mandela from South Africa. And he once said a very great quote, which is, "We will judge us by the difference we make in the lives every day of children." And that's what this program will do in essence. In the Bible, Psalm 127.1, children are a gift of the Lord. They're our heritage. That's what this program is aimed to correct. There's no manual. I learned this back in 2010 when my daughter Vivian was born. There's no manual about how to be a good parent. You just have to do it on your own. And we all know that there's a drug epidemic in this country. There's a pot of money called the opioid that Scotland County is part of. It's designed to specifically address drug abuse and drug addiction problems. Of course, the reason there was a settlement is that it has huge societal consequences nationwide, but specifically for Scotland County. The cost to this county to take care of the victims of the drug epidemic is we're forced to wrestle with these issues. We have no choice. We have a mandate. And how does this program differ? I'll try to sum it up like this. It is a parallel system of justice. What does that mean? The reality is when this system of justice starts up as we have today, nothing wrong with it. It's the system we've had for many decades. Could it be better? Anything can be improved. You learn as you get older, life is about change. It's inevitable. You hope it's changed for the better. But what makes this system different is when children are removed from a home by DSS, there's tension right off the block. Even if the government agency is correct in removing the child, those people the children got removed from are upset. the justice system in court is an adversarial system. What I mean by that is every side has their own lawyer. The parents have a lawyer, the child has a lawyer, the guardian ad litem's office has a lawyer, Miss Bullock. Okay, the county's got a lawyer. And the lawyers have to fight to do what they think's in the best interest of their client. It's a fight. Okay. This alternative system that we are proposing to you all tonight removes a lot of the fight, because the people that will monitor these people are not the same people that remove the children from the parents' home. They're a neutral party. They're completely neutral. So at least they start off with not bad blood between each other. And the parents are much more likely to comply. And frankly, if they don't comply, this is not a free ride. I don't want anybody to get that idea that this is, you know, there's accountability built into this system by them having to come back to court quicker and face consequences if they're not following through. We certainly hope to not have to do that, to try to keep that at a minimum. But inevitably, there will be cases like that. I know it's a lot to ask, but this is a huge problem. And we've worked on this for a couple of years, and we really wanted to have something more in concrete, to be honest with everyone. If you look at that budget, you could pick it apart and find some issues with it. But nobody knew that this opioid settlement money would arrive. And that's why we wanted to move quick, maybe quicker. We ask you for your consideration tonight, and thank you very much.
Judge Drew, I have a question. You say this is being done in other counties now?
Yes, sir.
What kind of success rate do they have?
Extremely high, and I've got the statistics. Amy, do you want to speak on that, or Brandy? What, is there a slide on it?
Yes.
Oh, perfect.
Yes.
Here we go. Let me read. I've read it before, but I didn't want to tell you the wrong number. Let's see here. Well, unfortunately, in the stats, it says successful graduation rates. It doesn't really help us that much, to be honest with you. A high of 62.2% for Asian Pacific Islanders. That's not going to help us much in Scotland County. 37.3 of African Americans. And let's see.
But the graduation rate is 47.20 something percent, so almost 50%.
Okay, 1 out of 2. 1 out of 2, sir.
It's high
Okay.
compared to what we see now is high. It's making a difference. And a lot of the counties like that, like you said, that will be self-sustained eventually. Eventually, we will grow our own peer support. In Robinson County, their peer support specialists are ones that have successfully gone through the program and demonstrated for a long period of time their ability. And so you can imagine that's even a better peer support. That this is somebody that can say, "I walked in your shoes." And so that's what we'll eventually do. But we got to start somewhere.
I did want to, go ahead, Mr.
No, you go ahead.
I was going to say, how many times does everybody at the courthouse agree on something? And I can tell you tonight that there's unanimity at the courthouse. The public defenders, the defense bar is here, the judges are here, DSS is here, the guardian ad litem's office is in approval with it, DSS in approval with it, everybody's in approval with it. So it's unanimity there. And yes, sir, Mr. Frizzell, you had another question.
Yeah, so I take that this $387,000 is for 1 year. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
That's a year. So, and you say a grant writer, are we getting any grants in any other counties? Or do we have
Yes.
a prediction on what kind of grants we would get to help if we do get this program up and started in Scotland County?
The answer is, first of all, none of these programs get any money from Raleigh. On that map you saw, none of them are funded. They have to come up with their own funding. All right, county money, grant money, but a substantial part of Robinson's, I know for sure, comes from grants. And Judge Wilson or
Randy said, I haven't seen the figure, but they're $400,000 of their total budget is grants. But they've expanded from family to drug, to like the drug treatment, which is people that are in trouble. like people that are in trouble for possession of setting, cocaine, whatever, drug possession. And that's more the adult. And now they've also they started with the family treatment court. So yes, that we believe that we'll be able to get grants. We know that they're out there. We just gotta be able to.
I guess to piggyback what Bo is saying, if this get up and running, you guys should be able to sustain yourselves.
That is our goal. And we know from reading the opioid settlement news stories and stuff, that the money dramatically drops off each year. I mean, it's dramatic.
That's correct.
So we're going to have to find other funding to keep this
Mhm.
alive, period. And we
Right.
understand that.
Yeah.
Well, and, go ahead. Whit.
Go ahead. Ivan.
Well, I was gonna weed down into the logistics of it here. And I don't know if Jason or April did, but was gonna check with the state on that. Did we get an answer back?
We have not gotten an answer to your, can you all hear me? To your point about the opioid settlement, we've sent a question up to the state to see, can this fit into one of the options, the pre-made options, for lack of better words, for that opioid settlement money. So unfortunately, we didn't get an answer back before the meeting tonight. Probably will this week. Of course, we already know one answer is this would have to be tailored down to only cases or people affected by opioid use. And so of course that would be, we'd really have to think through that. Because
How
we
would
know
we
those
do that?
cases,
It's the rare case that doesn't involve opioids / drug
Absolutely.
addiction and DSS court.
Mm-hmm.
If we didn't have that problem, you could shut down the court. I mean, truth be told, I mean, it's the rare case that does not involve some type of drug addiction. Now, I will ask this, does it specifically have to be opioid? Could it be cocaine? Could
no,
it be?
yeah, I'm very sure it has to be
I think it
opioid.
has to be, but I mean, I guess that's probably one of those.
But that
questions.
doesn't mean
I
we,
mean,
of
there's-
course, couldn't work out the percentage of cases that are opioid effective versus other forms of drugs. And
And it would probably be 85 to
Well,
15.
how would we
Yeah,
know if it was
yeah.
opioids or cocaine?
They have,
Drug tests.
yeah, they
the
have-
social workers know what their cases are
Okay.
in court for.
Well,
I feel like it would be sustainable.
Well, I'll tell you, the vast majority of DSS cases in this county start out with single mothers at the hospital whose babies are born drug positive. And if they're born drug positive, you have a very firm, reliable drug test at the hospital done by physicians that tells you exactly what the addiction is. And you would have the documentation from day one to divert that person potentially in the program if they were a good candidate.
well, and some of this stuff appears to be maybe one-time expense. I think the training overall, you may still have some throughout the year, but that's an overall thing. If we were to say, okay, let's go with this is really the only place I looked at was the case coordinator and the two peer support specialists right away, it would bring it down to 263. But I mean, I guess we got to find out from the state how are we going to do that, either option A or option B, but
Do y'all know whether or not Robinson getting any of the
I
using
don't
this
think you're about
opioid?
Robinson, but I know that many of the other counties are tapping into the opioid money and they're getting it.
yeah, I know that's how Greene County got it because
And Chairman Ivy and I've already spoken about this. Greene, Lenore, and Wayne counties are down east, as you know, and they have a national award-winning court. And that, I mean, they are having unbelievable results. And they literally have the Department of Justice, Federal Department of Justice has publications about them, and they're getting money from the county. I think he spoke with one of the commissioners. So we know there's some highly successful. We just went to Robinson because of its, the proximity. We wanted two of that too. That'll be our next on our list. But we're just trying to do our homework. We just wanted to come and see y'all.
The answer to this may be obvious, but you're asking this money for a court in Scotland County?
Only Scotland
Only
County.
Scotland County.
So we all, as judges, we have a 3-county district. We're not even looking to start there. The reason we want to start in Scotland is because we started this collaborative 2 years ago. And we already have this group formed. We are already so unanimous. We've worked together through the good, the bad, and the ugly. We've developed this bond, and we just feel like we should just branch from that. So this would only be here.
Are you seeking to do this in Richmond and
Eventually, but we won't do it now. It's just a lot of work. I'll be
Okay.
honest, it's a lot of work on us, because we have full plates as it is. So at least initially, this will be a lot of extra work. So we will not look to spread it until we get firmly established here. And then, of course, we would go ask that county, both Richmond and Anson, for money, but we're not gonna look to do that probably for 3 years. We wanna start small, but we wanna do a good job here. We feel like the bond has been formed, everybody's supportive, and we're ready to start here, and eventually we'll do that, but it'll be like,
I think one of the issues that we will have
Uh-huh.
is we see a lack of community resources
Right.
in the community to treat
yes,
substance abuse.
right,
And so I think we want to make sure that we have,
right.
we don't want to set up a process that takes all of our money and not have the resources available to treat some of the problems that you're dealing with.
And we understand that.
Amen.
We have several agencies here that provide substance treatment that our parents are already going to now. We would like to see more inpatient treatment and like to also see more facilities where parents can go with their children. We don't have that at this point. But we definitely have agencies here that provide substance and mental health treatment.
And that's what we're looking to do. We're looking, we're not an urban area. We don't, sometimes we go to conferences and talk about all the things they do. We don't have that. But what we want to do is maximize what we do have. And we believe when this gets rolling, we're gonna have more providers. We would love to have an hour house today, where mothers and children can go and be there together, bonding and getting treatment. Those are the things that are gonna come. We believe that.
And I don't want to get too deep in the weeds here, but who do we give the money to? Do we give it?
I
Oh,
was-
I've got an answer for that.
Yeah, the
Well,
county-
but
the county-
Y'all keep the money till we need it.
No,
So,
but I mean, who
so
who
would
pay
these be
that
considered
salary?
county employees?
And that, I think that's something we would have to work through because it's different places.
It's different
But
places.
we would be happy if they would be county
Hmm,
employees.
that-
I mean, I don't know how else you would work it. I don't,
Yeah,
I mean,
so,
yeah.
for example, in Union County, they have, they formed a 501c3, and they have a board of directors that they handle their treatment court from. But that they've told me that the opioid money they get is held, governed, and used by the county. So we're not looking for y'all to write any checks. We want y'all to keep the money, but then use it for this.
No, yeah, I was just trying to figure how, if the state's not involved in it, how we would do that, but,
But we could figure, those are
That's-
kind of the
yeah.
nuances we'll have to figure out.
That's not a problem.
It's been figured out everywhere on that
Yeah,
map.
yeah.
that
It's
we
not a
showed
problem.
y'all.
So you said that these individuals be neutral between just say the DSS and the court system, but would they work directly for the court system, or how would that work?
There are several people that work for the court system that would also work in this court. So for example, the guardian ad litem already works for the court system. Then they would also work in this system. They already get paid through guardian ad litem's office and they
Right.
work in this system as well. Public
Public
defender's
defender.
office.
But I think what I'm asking, who do they answer to? Do they answer to the presiding judge? Is that who they answer to?
Well, Mr. Frizell, Mr. Frizell, do you mean hiring and firing?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I mean,
yeah,
who
well,
they
I-
answer to?
Believe me, when we first started this discussion and we found out we were going to be coming here tonight, I had the same thought in my mind. Who's going to control that? Because you
Yeah.
got to have somebody. If the people aren't doing their job, there's some
Right.
degree of accountability,
That's
right?
right.
Or if they're doing a great job, you can commend them or something, right? So I mean, at the end of the day, each one of these map places you see up here does it slightly differently. So, but in general, in a lot of places, they're county employees.
Yeah,
And in fact,
we're an advisory board.
there's an advisory board, kind of like, when we say parallel court system, kind of like the DSS board.
Right.
There's going to be there could be a board
Family treatment.
for a family treatment court that would actually make the hiring decision, what you're going to pay them, the firing decision. Exactly, it would be just like a DSS board, except miniaturized, because this would be a lot smaller than DSS, even though it's a parallel system. That's one way to do it.
so if we committed 265 for the first year, that does the coordinator and 2 peer, plus everything else you needed here. That would be about a third of what we have in hand on the opioid money. So it wouldn't break the bank.
We got 5.
6 something.
Well, we
Or
have
almost 7,
6
yeah.
something right now. Mhm.
Let me ask you a question. What's the backup plan?
The backup plan.
If we don't offer the money, what's the backup?
The backup plan is that we go back to working to try to get some grant money to get this started. We can't get any money from the state. So we're back to trying to find a funding source. And, you know, I'll say this, Mr. McFadden, that I firmly believe that things happen for a reason in this world. Things happen for a reason. There's no mere coincidence that this opioid settlement happened. And that the way that they structured the settlement was not for all the lawyers to get it or for the state to get it at the General Assembly level, but it was to go to each small local county for you good people to decide what to do. And like, I think everybody on this commission is from here originally, grew up here. You all, we all know what the problems are in this county. We're from here. We live with it every day. And the backup plan, honestly, is prayer, Mr. McFadden. That's the backup plan.
I can attest when Judge Crawford used her scenario. I know some families that was, you know, it kind of, when she was saying it, it kind of like, boom. Right. I knew exactly what she was talking about. And I experienced some of those families, you know, the mothers in the situation. And, you know, like I said, I'm all for it. Don't get me wrong. Right.
And I will say, one thing I meant to say, in a very divisive world, this treatment courts in general, which can be adult drug court, family treatment court, all these are bipartisan support. The Chief Justice is extremely supportive and is pushing us to do this. I mean, we're doing this in the direction of Rob. You know, we believe this works. So this is bipartisan, Republican, Democrat, all across the state. It's not a divided issue. It's very much got support from all different, you know, all sides. So we think that's good.
Judge Rue and Mr. Chairman, I think all of us are in support of it. I've watched it on my way here, and of course, I've talked to some of y'all about it. Would we not be okay to hold this until maybe December to allow these questions that we have to be answered, and then we make a decision? Just, I mean,
Well, I don't think we can really do anything until the state tells us.
that don't
what,
mean we get
yeah.
some clarity.
Well, even if we have to do it as an option B, you know, we still have to have their approval before we do that. So, because as all money has strings all tied to it, and so I think that's the key question that's got to get answered right now.
I think y'all answered that earlier by saying other counties are using opioid money.
But we want y'all to be comfortable. We are not up here trying to say, do something you're not comfortable with. Do your research, but we do believe it's being used across the state, but certainly I understand that.
No, yeah, and I think he's right. It's probably other counties using it, but there's, you know, they gave us two options, an A and a B. And I'm not sure that this doesn't fall under the B, which has to be pre-approved, right?
Right. And you all have to do a resolution for every option you pick. And so there's a,
Right. So
and B is a much longer process.
That's where we're just trying to figure out which one of those we got to do it under. So
I want to emphasize something Judge Rue said. Most states, the state legislature or the executive branches control the funds. North Carolina is one of the few states that said, we're going to take 15%, we're going to send 85% to the local communities. So we get to make the choice on this. And I think that is a big plus for our legislature. I'm not proud of everything they do, but I think that's one thing they got right. And I think that the good news is, I mean, if this had gone to the state, they would have spent lots of money setting up these courts. We can set it up a lot less expensive than they can.
And you literally can be in control of it. And that's what we want. We're not trying to, we need y'all, we need Scotland County. This is our court.
So if we just do decide to do this, I think we have some control of it. It may be a good way to address the problem, and we still have resources in order to find treatment plans for these people that are going to need it.
Well, we do have local providers that can help with some of this treatment. They were here last month, I think.
Well, I personally think it's a great idea myself.
yeah, I do too. I don't hear
Absolutely.
opposition to it. We just got to get our part of it figured out with the state and to which way we got to do it. If it's option A, it's real easy. If they say it'll go under this category under option A, then it'll move along fast. B, that's where we have to write the ordinance and all that stuff separate. So, but we'll figure it out. But then we may just call one of the counties and find out, what did you do? So.
Well, we just appreciate appreciate your time.
No, thank you.
We feel like, humility is one way, but we feel like we try to do a good job every day what we do with court. This is outside of our comfort zone, just being honest. You know, this is not something we've done before, but this is something we believe in of. I'm not getting one extra penny for being here tonight, neither are any of us. But we want to do, when we retire from this job, or when the Lord calls us home, we want to think we've made a difference. And if we can do that, it's worth it to us, and we believe this is the way to do it. So I just we appreciate you having us here. We understand your need and want to find out other things further. And we'll be sticking around for any questions, and we can come back in December, or y'all can just let us know, whatever. We just appreciate your time.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Very much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I want to thank Erica Fox for she did a ton of work with all this audiovisual. So we thank her so much. She's working out awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, can I say something just, and this is off the
All right.
I'll apologize in advance. Some of these folks, Amy Wilson's mother was the clerk of court in Scotland County, in Richmond County for a number of years. She taught me most of what I learned, how to be the clerk of court. Chris Rue's dad was, I hired him as a magistrate 40 years ago. Jonathan McKenna's dad, Richard, and I have known each other. It's time for me to go home, guys. All these people
Tell
out
your
there,
age, we.
I've known for 40 years.
Yeah, a moment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Y'all have a good evening.
Good night.
All right, moving on to the next item is the Southeastern Regional Airport Authority. Seth, somewhere here. Yep.
Commissioners, Madam Manager, thank you for having me this evening. Unfortunately, it's just me. I didn't bring an entourage tonight from the airport, so you'll have to forgive me. But it's an honor to be here. We do an annual report from the Southeast Regional Airport Authority and the Laurinburg-Maxon Airport every year. It's hard to believe it's already been a year since the last time I came, but it's always exciting to stand before you and give you a little bit of an update of the really exciting and encouraging things that we have happening right here in Scotland, miles to the northeast of here in the northeastern part of the county. But I wanted to really just highlight some of the exciting changes out of the airport, and they can really be subdivided into 4 different categories. We have some organizational changes that are going on at the airport. We have some aesthetic or some cosmetic changes that are going on at the airport. We have some technological changes that we're really excited about. And then we've got some new aeronautical changes, some different partnerships that we're looking forward to, that we already have existing, but we're looking on expounding upon it. And some that are new and coming soon that we're looking forward to. But first, from an organizational perspective, they have a new executive director out there, and that's myself. So I've been in the position for about 10 months now. I am a local to Laurinburg in Scotland County, born and raised. Went to Liberty University, got my undergraduate degree in aeronautics, and I'm glad the Lord brought me back here and gave me this wonderful opportunity. I've been at the airport for about 4.5 years now. My predecessor was Miss Joanne Gentry. She served in that role for 40 years. So big shoes to fill. When they asked me to take the job, they said, we get 41 years out of you, right? And I said, well, we'll see. We'll see. But it's an honor to be here. So that's the first organizational change. The second is we started a whole new department out at the airport. So traditionally, we have had a water and sewer department, which is quite unique. We're the only airport in the state of North Carolina that has a water sewer department. I don't know about in the entire country, but we would be one of the few, that's for sure. And traditionally, we've been on the water sewer side, but also with the administrative side of grants, with the executive director, Joanne, and myself, with grant administration of different projects at the airport and the water sewer side. At the beginning of this year, in January, we opened up the fixed base operation. Seth, what's the FBO or the fixed base operation? Well, that is the fueling and the hangar management component of the airport. Traditionally, that's been held by private companies, dating all the way back to the 60s with Gullidge Aviation, with John and May Gullidge, and then more recently in the 2000s with John McRae and Randy Hoffman. And so basically, the airport authority owned all the infrastructure, all the fuel farm, all the hangars, and we had a private company just manage it for us. And in January of this year, we said, hey, we'll hire our own staff and we'll do it ourselves. So that took place at the beginning of this year. But we've been proud since January to be one of the 3 cheapest fuel providers for avgas, 100 low lead in the state of North Carolina. So that's something we're really excited about that's happened with those organizational changes. We brought on some good staff. Our operations manager, Marcus Baker, he has an extensive background in the FBO business. He's from Syracuse, New York originally, so don't hold it against him. Went down to Florida, and then we brought him to Laurinburg, North Carolina. And then we hired some staff that have some Chick-fil-A experience. You say, why Chick-fil-A? Well, customer service. That's really what we're striving at the Laurinburg-Maxton Airport. And when we also, part of the transition in January, we bought a golf cart. You say, Seth, why on earth do you have a golf cart? Well, when pilots, they park at our ramp, we can go and we pick them up in our golf cart. And then we roll out a mat and we give them the red carpet treatment. Yeah, they might be in a little small single engine aircraft, but they feel like royalty here at Laurinburg-Maxton. We take them a cold bottle of water, and in the summer months, we gave them ice cream. You say, why ice cream? Well, in those small aircraft, they don't have air conditioning typically. So we give them ice cream. And the reviews that we got off of that were astounding. I mean, the marketing it paid for itself, if you will. Since January, I'm proud to report that there's an application on your phones called ForeFlight that pilots use. Nothing but raving reviews since January. And there's also a website that pilots use called AirNav. Once again, nothing but raving reviews since January. And of course, if you look up the Laurinburg-Maxton Airport on Google, nothing but 5-star Google reviews since January. It's exciting and it makes it all worthwhile, doesn't it? But they're getting that right here in Scotland County at the Laurinburg-Maxton Airport. So we've had some organizational changes. We just passed our largest budget in the airport's history, about $2.6 million. Of course, that might not sound like a lot to a city or a county, but when I first came on board about 4 years ago, our budget was about $1.5 million. So it's grown pretty exponentially in just the last couple of years. Some of that is with the new fixed base operation that we just developed in January, but also with this new fiscal year budget that we passed at the June meeting in 2023, the airport authority is actually providing a lot of capital investment back into the infrastructure at the airport. So in case you don't know, the Laurinburg-Maxton Airport wasn't always the Laurinburg-Maxton Airport. It used to be the Laurinburg-Maxton Army Air Base. It was built in 1942. A lot of very rich infrastructure. That's where that water sewer department comes from. But of course, after 81 years, infrastructure deteriorates if you don't keep it up. And so we have made a concerted effort this year to reinvest back into our infrastructure. We have 7 active projects that we're partnering with the state on. And then we have about 10 or 12 local projects that we're funding completely ourselves, whether we're redoing some of our T hangars to make them just more amenable to pilots, whether we're redoing some work with our apron. We're just making it the best facility that it can be for Laurinburg-Maxton for Scotland County. So on the organizational side, but we've also made some aesthetic and some cosmetic changes as well. So part of that is because of that budget that we just passed in June. But we also did some renovations to our terminal building. Our existing terminal building was built in 1976 and it's got a flat roof. It hasn't been the most fun keeping up, but we just put a brand new roof on it. We just did some renovations to the terminal building in the spring of this year where we redid our floors. It's a terrazzo floor. It's really, really pretty when it's clean. The key is it has to be clean, of course. Slapped on a fresh coat of paint. We got some new furniture. We have a pilot's lounge, just a place for pilots to, hey, if you had a long day flying, enjoy your ice cream and then take a nap if you'd like to as you continue your flight planning. We also partner with the state to do some apron rehabilitation. And then our main ramp, it's concrete. It's been there since the 90s. It's in beautiful condition, but over the years, rubber deposits and tires, they leave marks. So if you were to look at an aerial view of the apron, it looked like an asphalt all the way across when it was really an asphalt, concrete, and asphalt. That's just how dirty and filthy it looked. Well, we partnered with the state and earlier in this year, and they pressure washed that entire apron for us, and they repainted it. And the beauty of that is the apron says Laurinburg-Maxton. So pilots know exactly where they're flying into. And so the state was able to work on that with us. On top of some of those cosmetic and aesthetic changes, we've also been doing some technological changes as well at the airport. I'd encourage you, www.lmairport.com. We have a brand new website. I would encourage you to check it out. Please ignore the person on the front page. It's myself. I'll go ahead and let you know. We had some models lined up, some local people, and of course they all fell through. So I called my wife and my little girl and said, hey, we got to get out to the airport today. But our brand new website, it's nice. Something that we implemented and is on our website. You can see exactly what our hangar facilities look like at the airport. You also see our pricing. We're very transparent. And if you want to get on our hangar wait list, you can do it right from the comfort of your own home. You can do it online. And also, if you want to check where your wait list spot is, you can check that through our website. So it's completely transparent. You know exactly where you are. We're not hiding anything, and we're proud of that. We also have 2 active drop zones at the airport. And now through our new website, you can schedule those drop zones, predominantly military use, but all through our website. You don't have to call and schedule it in person now and hope your slot's open. We also, in May of this year, we partnered with the state and we got an aircraft counting software. You say, Seth, what are you doing with an aircraft counting software? Well, it serves a couple of different purposes for us. We know exactly who is flying into and out of the Laurinburg-Maxton Airport. And the reason for that is it provides justification for projects to the state. So we can say, hey, this type of aircraft flies in this many operations. This is why we have justification for a long runway or for more T hangars. It's been a very, very useful tool. For instance, just yesterday we had 59 flight operations at Laurinburg-Maxton. We had 59 takeoffs and landings. In the month of October, we had 1,393 operations at Laurinburg-Maxton, almost 1,400 operations at our little airport in Scotland County. And it's something that, once again, it's just really nice to see the impact that we have. And it's always fun talking with people because in aviation, so there's a saying in aviation, a mile of road gets you a mile up the road, but a mile of runway gets you anywhere in the world. And so, of course, we see that play out here at Laurinburg-Maxton. We'll have people who are flying down from New York and they just make a pit stop because we have cheap gas that we talked about. And so they'll make a stop on the way down to Florida. And now we have friends forever, and they're always going to come back to Laurinburg or to Scotland County. We also have what's called a crew car, which is where pilots, when they're flying into an airport, they don't have a vehicle to get around, do they? So this crew car, we have a 2-hour limit on it. They can go into town and they can spend their dollars in town. We always refer them to local places if we can. But that's just another nice amenity that we have at the Laurinburg-Maxton Airport. So those are some of our technological changes. But we also have some aeronautical changes that I was talking about. We have a certified A&P mechanic on the field. That's airframe and power plant, Mr. Philip Nieper with Airborne Aviation. He is IA qualified, which is inspection authorized qualified. So if your plane goes down for maintenance, he can fix it. We also have Departure Aviation Services, Mr. Hector Valle Ortiz. He is a certified flight instructor, and he'll teach you how to fly, whether you want your multi-engine or your instrument rating or your single engine or your tailwheel endorsement or your complex endorsement or your high performance. Hector can get you squared away. So if any of y'all would like to learn how to fly, please let me know and I'll put you in touch with Hector. But one thing that we're really excited about is we're developing a partnership with a company called Sky High Aerospace Expo. We're shooting to do an air show at the Laurinburg-Maxton Airport, October 2025. It's a little far out, but with these things, you have to plan far out. Most of these performers are booked years in advance. So this gentleman came to us, said, y'all have a phenomenal facility. You have the land, which a lot of airports don't have the land. We have the land to accommodate it. And so we are working on a use agreement now with him. Of course, you have to cross your T's and dot your I's for the use agreement side of things and the liability. But we're working with him now, and I'm really excited for what that could become. We've been talking with Whitman Regional Airport, which is Oshkosh out in Wisconsin. We've been talking to Sun and Fun at the Lakeland Linder International Airport just to say, how are y'all doing things? What kind of use agreements do you have in place? What would you do differently? Because as we start this thing, we want to make sure that we're laying the foundational blocks to put us in the best position moving forward. So we are thrilled to partner with Sky High, and he's already got his first couple of sponsors for the event. I think he's got a couple more lined up, and it's going to be, his pitch is Sun and Fun down in Florida is the kickoff to air show season. Oshkosh is in the middle of the summer, which is the largest air show in the world. There's no one who closes out air show season. So let's make it Laurinburg-Maxton. And I like that idea. But I appreciate y'all letting me come out here and just talk a little bit about our organizational changes, our technological changes, our cosmetic changes, and our aeronautical changes. And I know I'm probably running a little on the long side, but I would love to answer any questions that you might have about some of just the new and exciting things we're doing at the airport.
You mentioned a hangar waiting list. Do you not have enough hangars?
It's a great question. So we have 31 based aircraft at the airport. When I first started back in 2019, we had 8 based aircraft. So we've seen that number almost quadruple in 4 years. It's not because of me, as much as I'd love to take credit for it. This general aviation across the state of North Carolina has been on the incline for a couple of years now, but also I think our customer service really drives that, on top of some of these other amenities that we talked about, such as the crew car, such as having maintenance and flight instruction on the field. It just makes it more desirable. We have 31 based aircraft on the field. We have 22 hangars. They say, Seth, your math doesn't add up. Well, those other aircraft, those other 9, they're tied down on our ramp. They're called permanent tie downs. So they're hoping that somebody leaves or somebody goes elsewhere. And of course, we don't want that to happen. So 2 months ago at our board meeting, we approved a work authorization to do site prep and design for 2 sets of T hangars. They would be 10 bay T hangars, so 20 aircraft, with the likelihood of constructing 1 set depending on how costs come in. Unfortunately, as I'm sure y'all are aware, since COVID, costs have been quite inflated in recent years. But no, great question.
So Seth, I know they was talking one time about extending the runway to bring bigger aircrafts in there. Is that still on the plate?
It is. It is. So we're still laying down the building blocks for that. So we've wrapped up our environmental assessment on that project. So before you ever put a shovel in the ground, you have to make sure, hey, is it environmentally feasible? And then we has to be on our approved airport layout plan. So our airport layout plan is our 5, 10, 15, 20-year master plan, if you will. So it has all of our hangar developments. And so we have to update our ALP to reflect that, which then gets approved by the state, the Division of Aviation, and the Federal Aviation Administration. But long story short, yes, sir. We are working on our runway protection zone analysis. We would have to relocate Airport Road. And so we are submitting our best option to the state for their approval before we start moving forward on that. But we are pursuing it.
So I think someone said one time that would allow cargo planes to land.
Yeah.
It has the possibility to. Yes, sir. It absolutely would. So it would take us from 6,500 feet long, which is already a significant runway for a little small airport, if you will. It will take us to 8,500 feet long. We would be the 8th longest runway in the state of North Carolina, the 5th airport with a runway that size. Of course, your Charlotte Douglas and your Raleigh Durham have more than one airport of that size, but we would be the longest general aviation airport in the state with a runway that size. So it certainly opens up a plethora of opportunity, especially with all that available land that we talked about. So most airports are lucky to have a couple hundred acres of land. We have a couple thousand acres of land. So it really puts us in a unique spot. And they've got the best water sewer provider around, if you ask me.
All right. Anything else from anybody? Thank you, Seth.
Well, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Hatcher.
And if you haven't been to the airport, I would encourage you, come see me. I'd love to take you on a tour of the place. We'll put you on the golf cart. We'll show you all the new stuff we've got going on. We'll get you some ice cream too. Thank y'all.
Thank you. All right, moving right along. Next is the North Carolina Railroad.
Good evening. As y'all know, I'm Mark Ward. I'm the economic developer, and Connor Christian was not able to join us this evening. One of his other co-workers is out of the country, but NC Railroad wanted to actually present us with the official large check, I guess you would say, of the $400,000 grant that they provided Scotland County to improve the incubator site, or the rail site that's behind the incubator building on Heck Norton Road and Wallace Road. So they will do that at another time. It's really just an opportunity for them to say thank you for applying. They have given us grants in the past, so they continue to support Scotland County, and they will set up a time that they can meet with Ms. Sneed and Mr. Ivy at another time to present that and do some photo ops.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next, a property request from Mickey Butler. She's here. There she is.
Yeah.
Good evening, Commissioners, Chair, County Manager. We have 2 properties that are being requested to purchase from local taxpayers or local citizens. The first property is parcel 01007902008. I know that's not probably going to tell you anything, but this property, the former owner of this property, is a surplus property that the county owns now, would like to purchase this property from the county. And there is a provision in the general statute 105-376 that would allow us to do that as a special sale. But we can only do it, we can't sell it to them for anything less than what the county has invested in it. And also, this is a city. The county, this taxpayer would also have to pay the city taxes as well.
Where's this property at?
It's I think it's on Alpha Street.
That's correct.
Yeah, I got you.
So, but the county's vested interest in this is $1,335.40. My recommendation is to do a private sale depending on the taxpayer also paying the city portion as well. That would be my recommendation.
Which would be probably about half of that, just roughly.
Probably roughly, because it's 40 cents.
Because this is the one we got a letter in our packet
Mm-hmm.
from Mr. I won't say his name, but we all got that packet. And I think he's saying he wanted to pay $700. I don't know where he come up with that number. So
I'm uncertain
You wouldn't have legal authority to sell
To
it
do
at
it for
private
that,
sale for
okay.
less than.
what is owed. Yeah.
So 1345.75, and then
Sir.
plus he has to do the city.
That's
The city has to approve this as well, I assume. So,
Does that
okay.
include the foreclosure costs as well?
I'm sorry.
Does that, the number you gave, does that include the foreclosure?
It
costs and
does.
everything?
It does. And that's probably the additional cost. The
Probably the
700 was
difference.
probably
Is that- is
what the
this the-
taxes were.
Just the
and
tax beforehand. Okay.
Yes.
What's the total?
The total for that is $1,335.40.
Well, I wrote that.
That's in November. Of course, that's subject to change as soon as December hits.
Need a
So-
motion on that?
We need a motion on that
Sell it to the gentleman.
Second.
for,
For whatever the
Yeah.
dollar amount is.
okay,
That's
that's
called
good for your
subject
second.
To the city's approval as well,
And-
and paying them for.
Right. So that good, John, with that and adding the language that Mr. Johnson.
Yes.
Okay, okay. And your second too, you good with that? All right, any other discussion on it? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, you said there's another one?
Yes.
Because we don't have anything on that one. So.
Okay, well, the second property, I just received a letter today. We can get you a copy of that, but this is just a taxpayer or a granddaughter of a neighboring taxpayer of a parcel who would like to purchase a property. This would have to, I would recommend that you would just follow the process that we normally use, which is the upset bid process. This person would need to submit a bid to the county, and then we would go forward from there. That would be my recommendation on this piece of property.
This is not the previous owner or the
No, it's-
granddaughter of the previous owner.
No,
And so do we need to take action on that or just let her
Well,
follow
I
the
think
process?
we need to have the, amount come in and then the board could determine, assuming that you determine it's surplus property.
But we don't need to.
We don't need to do
We
it.
don't need
Nothing
to.
tonight.
Yeah, okay.
Because you don't
okay.
have that number.
Yeah, that's, unless I hear something different, is that everybody's consensus?
Would she be contacting you about that, Ms. Butler? Or who?
I have not been in contact with her, but I think that
I've been in contact with her.
Right.
So
So she,
between us, we will give her an update.
yes.
Okay.
And that is all I have.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right, moving right along. Next item, fiscal year in 2023, end of year report. Beth, oh, there she is. Well, I got to blow this up where I can see it.
Good evening. In your packets, you'll have the fiscal year 23 final numbers. We started out with an original budget of 50.6 million. We had a revised budget of 57 million. We actually brought in revenues of 52.6 million. Actual expenditures, 54.1 million.
Oh, is that it? Are you
But
done?
I'm flipping through, sorry.
Oh,
An update on.
that was
fund-
quick.
Well, fund balance, I have projected 17% at the end of fiscal year 23. For fiscal year 22, our actual unassigned fund balance was 20%. I would kind of remind everyone that we do have a county policy that our fund balance cannot fall below 15%. We're 2% shy of hitting that. So just moving forward, would just like to be mindful that that 15% is getting close.
Is that it?
That's
Okay,
it, unless
that's
you
it.
guys have questions.
Well, has our auditor began? I know we got the questionnaires a couple months ago, but
We did. They have been on site 2 or 3 times for a couple of days. And we should be getting final numbers to them this week once we figure out a few other issues we've got with the software on the payroll side. So that was implemented in January. So we run into a few hiccups that we hadn't anticipated, but numbers should go out this week.
all right. Anybody, anything? Nothing. Thank you, ma'am.
Also, I sent out an email And I think
Oh,
Jason
yeah, on
passed
the
out
ARP.
the ARPA dollars, just to kind of give an update on where we are with that. The information that's in the handout is detailed based on things that were approved throughout the duration of the ARPA dollars. I just kind of wanted to mention that we have $875,000 remaining that is uncommitted. My recommendation would be to funnel that back to the county to cover any costs and all for revenue replacement. So I'm throwing that out for consideration, and if you approve, would like
What was that amount again?
$875,324. And that's on the back of, I don't know if Jason had 2 pages or just one page.
Second to last number at the bottom.
The one in green, yeah.
Yeah.
Under the green.
Will that take us back to that 2% on the budget that we have to maintain to put us back in the comfort level?
Being that these are, right now, they're restricted dollars. Once we take them out of the unrestricted status, yes, that would boost up the fund balance.
That's what I was, yeah. So that'll actually increase it by about 1.5. So we'll be somewhere around 18, 19% then. So, okay. Do you need an action? for
I
that?
would prefer to have an action so we can have that documented in minutes. Yes, sir.
All right, we got a motion from
Clarence.
Spatter and Clarence from Commissioner Williams. Any other discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, Beth.
Yes, sir.
All right, we'll move right along to boards and committees. Vice Chairman Gibson.
We have a few boards and committees that we need to make appointments to. I will start with Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. There are 3 appointments, and I'm doing this as a way of one motion if I can. I would move that we appoint William Graves, Patrick McCormick, and Eureka's Pate to the Parks and Recreation Board. Juvenile Crime Prevention Council nonprofit seat. We have 1 applicant, 1 vacancy. I move that we appoint Dorothy Tyson to that seat. Board of Health Veterinarian seat, Dr. Sarah Johnston. I move Historical Properties. I move to appoint Steve King to the regular seat and Travis Ivy as the alternate.
Should I recuse myself? Board's knowledge and exception, I'll recuse myself from this because that last person is my son, so.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. Without me voting, any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Did you get that? Okay. Manager report.
Okay, for the sake of your time, you all had the report, and so I'm going to hit some highlights. And of course, if there's questions about any topic, please let me know. The land use plan that has come up, and of course, you are due that as contracted by Lumber River. They are ready to they will be ready to present that to you and the zoning board at your next December meeting. And I would recommend that you meet at 5 o'clock with the zoning board in order to get that presentation and then move into your commissioners meeting, if you would like to do that.
That's what we had scheduled. The
Well, we
5th
can,
or the
well, we
4th?
can schedule it.
I mean,
Want to
I'm-
make sure the consensus was good with that.
We moved we moved the other meeting
Right.
because of that, so,
That,
okay.
that is the easiest thing.
I thought we had just, okay. December,
Because y'all are already
we
here.
moved the ABC meeting from 5 o'clock on the 4th to the 5th, and then, so we could do this on the 4th.
So you're gonna recess this meeting until 5 o'clock that day then? Since
Are we gonna recess this meeting?
Since you normally would be meeting at 6, your schedule would be at 6.
Okay, and then that would be 5, and then we'll adjourn that meeting, and then, okay,
Right.
okay, got you.
Okay, so you'll get your land use plan that day. The brick grant process is slowly moving forward. Right now, we have to designate a agent and secondary agent that would normally be designated as myself as the agent and our finance officer as the secondary agent, if that's amenable to you all to keep moving forward with that grant. Opioid settlement funds right now are at $679,000. $679,957,000 right now. So up about $100,000 since our last meeting. Our next opioid collaborative meeting will be on 11/20. Of course, you all are invited to that along with other community members, and we will certainly have an answer from NCACC about Plan A, Plan B, and this drug treatment court. The Laurinburg-Maxton air swap continues in that process. We are moving forward. It's just a slow move forward. North Turnpike water line. I do need a decision, if you will, on this tonight. We're at a place where we are ready to call residents who live on North Turnpike and surrounding areas and get their interest if they want to tap into this water line. And so what I would need from you is the amount that you would like the county to charge to tap into this water line for the first time. Historically, I've heard that people did this for $25. I have heard that people did this for $100. And so I don't know the history on that. Couldn't really find it. Maybe people remember it.
Should be at least.
Because that's when I went on it personally myself. They did dollars.
Okay.
For
And so I would ask if that's what you would like for us to tell people. We're going to make calls to every resident. Are you interested? The engineer needs that in order to do a scope of work.
Well, we did that. Am I right?
I thought we did.
But I'm not saying you not do that. I don't know. I don't know how that was done. I don't know if he called or just mailed stuff to him or whatever.
Do we need to make a motion on that or?
Set that rate. You do.
Set that rate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'll make the motion.
For
$100.
$100. Got a motion and a second. Any other discussion for that?
Anyway, we could have did it cheaper. 50 to 75.
Well, I think, to be honest, I think the
To
city.
get more people,
City was 900.
Oh.
Yes,
does the
city,
Well, what-
city's 14.
It's usually $1,500 to hook on.
Right. What will
The
happen
motion was
if
on the
they
floor.
if
We
they
just-
hook on
Yeah,
now?
hold on. So we got a motion
Well, we
for
could,
100.
we
So
open the
do
floor
you
for
want
discussion. Be
to?
open
Yeah.
for discussion.
Um.
You hadn't called for discussion.
Yeah, I call for
Okay.
any discussion on it.
I mean, I'm cool with 100, but if the company's not charging 100, they're charging 25. I mean, I don't know.
the company's gonna
And
be
I'm-
charging a lot more than 100, I bet.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I don't know
It's gonna
that.
cost about $1,500 to get hooked up. That's what it's gonna cost. But we're putting that into the price of putting it in there because people just can't afford
Yeah, that's true.
1,500.
That's true.
And they're doing it,
$100 is a,
and see the
Or-
point
Yeah,
is,
that's a deal. I
That
mean,
is a
and that's
deal.
what they done last time. So the reason I made the motion because, that's what they done for last time for everyone. And if we do any different than that,
see if
then
they
No, I'm
hook it
cool
up
with it.
before they cover it
Yeah.
up. But they're putting in the pipe
Trust
Yeah.
me.
and put the meter in then.
mhm.
But once it's covered up,
Then it's 1,500 or
Then it's
whatever.
1,500,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm cool with it, but
$100
it
is a
sounds
deal.
better with some justification. At first, it just sounded we were kind of picking a number because that's what they previously did.
I
We've been
think the
having
reason,
this
the conversation last time is we were gonna charge 100 because that's what we charged last time.
Right.
And the one thing, and I think I mentioned this last time too, and this is, when the phone call's made, the people who you're talking to need to understand that $100
Now.
is making it possible for them to connect to the system.
Right.
That running it from there to their house is their expense.
We have a script ready with that. And they need to understand if they pay the $100, they get their meter and they don't run water to their house, they're still going to get a $35 charge every month for
Right.
that meter fee.
Is that on your script?
Yes.
Because it's, I think,
we-
the last thing I want to see is folks coming up here and saying, we didn't know that it was going to cost me $1,700 to run the pipes to my,
That's right.
to my
Right.
house.
I agree.
but if they don't get it when it's being put down, it's gonna cost them.
Cost
Yeah,
them
your
$3,000.
water fee schedule, I
1,500
believe,
for the-
costs
to get it, and then
$1,400.
$1,700 run to the house.
Right.
That's good.
Okay. Any other discussion? Any more? All in favor of the motion?
Need a second motion.
He got it.
got a
I
second
got
up here
it.
somewhere.
I got it. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. Nick, go ahead.
Okay, the free health clinic building, we've been talking about that. That is officially back to you all for your use. However, you had in your packet a report on some pretty significant issues in that building, and I've got a few pictures to show you to determine, would you like to move forward using that building, or would you decide this is not the way we want to go? And so under the building, there is a layer of mold. You can see how things are falling down. And these pictures were taken by our county staff, Mr. McGirt, our Thomas Milligan, our inspector went out, and our risk manager went out. And so we have these problems under the building along with mold. In the building, there has clearly been leaks at some point. There is more mold in the building. Mr. McGirt describes the flooring as almost like soggy to stand on. So we know we have flooring issues, stability issues throughout the building. And I know there's things I'm not even thinking about. Like I said, there is a whole list from our risk manager that you had in your packet of problems in this building that are pretty significant. So I'm looking for your thoughts. If you want to move forward getting quotes to resolve some of these problems, or if you think this is more than we need to take up.
Do we have an intended use of this building?
Well, we know we are have size. I'm sorry. We know we have space challenges in this county. So
Space
if
needs.
this was a great, ready to move in building, we could move somebody in tomorrow. We can't move anybody in this building right now.
Can I make a suggestion?
Absolutely.
Let's have 3 contractors look at it and see what it'd cost us on the estimate to fix it, to bring the building back up to code. And, because none of us know what it's
They
gonna
may
cost
say
to
it's
fix it.
cheaper to get rid of it and build something else.
Well,
And you can't build back on that site because it was placed on a sewer line.
That's probably where the mold's coming from.
But you would have to invest in tearing it down if you tear it down.
yeah, I mean, it's gonna,
Either way, you're gonna spend.
I mean, it's
money.
gonna cost you money to tear it down. I mean, if the estimate of fixing it ain't real great, because we don't really know what it's gonna cost to fix it. I mean, I'd like to see an estimate on what it'd cost to fix it.
Oh, I don't disagree with that at all. And if we can't put something else on it, fixing it up may be the best option.
Right. Well, I think, or my thought on that building was at one time that we could use that for an EMS backup while they build the other, when they tear this down and begin building that other building.
That's a,
We could certainly use the space.
Because if not, you're going to have to put something out here for them to stay in.
Let's have somebody look at it and see what it costs. It's a good idea.
And the mold is coming back. It's on top of a septic tank.
No, it's on septic line. It
Oh,
ain't
the
on
line?
septic
Yeah.
tank. Yeah. You just can't put it over that.
oh, there's treatment. You can treat that.
Do
I
you
mean,
need a-
that can be treated. I mean, that's not a big deal.
Motion on that, April.
I don't think I need a motion.
Just to get quote. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, we'll do that.
All right.
My next point is we've had discussions about our IT services for Scotland County. And I was, I guess, charged with getting some informal bids for that. We got bids from 4 companies, and I gave you what looks somewhat like a matrix for that I hope, the intention was to compare apples to apples for each company. And so that's how that was set up for you. After looking at the monthly cost of each, you had to compare the monthly cost versus what they additional costs were on top of what their monthly cost was going to be. And so interestingly enough, 3 of the companies came out at figures for a monthly cost that were very close together. 2 of those companies kept stacking additional cost on top of that for additional services that we have to have. We have to run our email. We have to have backup on our servers. And then 1 company came in very much lower than the other 3, which would make us question how they believed they could do that so inexpensively. And so my recommendation is to go with VC3 for that company. I also went back, Beth and I went back and looked at what we are spending a year in our IT cost. And it's pretty, interestingly enough, it's pretty close to what we are spending now and what we will go to.
Were they the lowest when you talked about?
I believe in the long run, they will be the lowest because they gave us a monthly charge and that's unlimited support, and that covers the backup, that covers the virus protection, that covers everything we need in that. And these others gave us a monthly cost, but then you pay extra. There's not unlimited protection. And then there's extra for different services that are listed on there for you. One charges you by the user, but if a user has more than one device, they're going to keep hitting you with more charges. So it's almost like you can't get a gauge on what that company could cost you every month.
There it is.
So your recommendation is which company?
I recommend VC3. I've already, and part of the reason I recommend that is they do have excellent. Our entire county went to their phones last year, and we've had great results with that. Excellent customer service, I would say. And then we have had to use VC3 already to put virus on our servers and backup on our servers.
I would move we contract with VC3 for our IT service for the, what kind of contract do we sign? Is it a 3-year contract, 5-year contract?
I believe it is 36 months. I believe that's
36 months.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a second.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, ma'am.
East Laurinburg Recycling Center. You left me with doing two things. One, asking the city of Laurinburg if they would be interested in doing trash pickup. They cannot do trash pickup even if they wanted to because they cannot compete with private providers. So that was a no, a quick no. But we took some drone footage to see what was on those parcels of land that are for sale in East Laurinburg. And so here you go. Those pieces of land joined together. And so you can see there is a lot of deconstruction, I guess you'd say, sitting on those parcels of land.
Is that Commonwealth?
Yes.
Because there's a train track
Yeah.
right there.
Mhm.
But the thing that concerns me with any of that stuff over there is not what's up here, it's what's under the
underneath.
ground.
Mm-hmm.
That would be my,
I believe I have one more. There's a different view.
You definitely want an environmental study.
yeah, you would, I mean,
That's further out, business 74.
That's basically the same piece, is just, of course, a different view. And
That's the old textile mill, is that correct?
Easterland store right there. Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, isn't that the old textile mill? Is that what that is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Waverly Mills.
Waverly Mills, yeah.
Not, and they didn't do anything make anything with contamination, but the oils and grease and all that stuff that got in there and got down in the ground, like Ed said, we'd have to have an environmental study on it before, and these are for sale, right?
Yes.
I mean, we'd have to have some sort of environmental study there just to. And
Well,
they
that's
may
opening up
already
a can
have
of
that.
worms.
I don't know if we've talked to them, but they may already
They
have
may.
that.
The seller may.
We can't find a better spot than that. That's gonna cost more to clean up than it is to build a facility.
Well, we discussed this some last month. We did not, or you all did not want to look at anything on Business 74. There are no other real properties for sale in East Laurinburg. If we're staying within East Laurinburg, our choices are very limited.
What about the other property, Commonwealth, further up towards?
The,
First
that somebody owns that, and of course we could approach that person if they're interested in selling. Now that, right, that piece of property is basically just grassy,
Right there,
grassy
First Street.
field. Mm-hmm.
Is it big enough?
It's big enough.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the one good thing with this piece, there's no neighbors. There's no houses right here.
Well, my question, are we gonna have to buy the whole parcel or can we just buy a
This
little
is
block?
this is split into two parcels.
But they're pretty big parcels, I would think.
I remember one is fairly larger than the other. They're not even parcels.
There's a lot of concrete forward there.
That's why I wonder what's under it.
What it would cost there.
Because of what we would use it for, would that make would we be under the same environmental restrictions if we bought it?
Well, I mean, I don't want to end up 20 years from now having to pay to clean that site up for some reason.
If anything's migrating off the site,
You'd be lining up.
Disturbing.
Are you suggesting that we perhaps reconsider properties on Business 74? Have you looked and see what might be available out there? Is there something for sale out there?
I don't remember anything being for sale. There are properties that are not used, in poor condition, that somebody may be willing to sell.
Further up, you got.
What about on Lee Bill's roadside? What about on that side?
I haven't explored that. We can. We could extend your perimeter
Yeah, I'm
if you
talking
like.
about up toward,
You talking about Highland?
yeah, Highland Road. I'm
Highland
sorry. I'm sorry.
Village
Highland-
Well, that's what I
Highland
was
Road.
gonna go to right before Highland.
Because if you get it too close to the the city of Laurinburg, then you're gonna have a lot of people from Laurinburg going over putting it in there.
How far is that from when we did a property for solar panels on that area too? How far is that from that though? That's on Highland Road. All that area there, we changed.
You saying over Highland Road?
For the solar panels.
Highland Road over the, go past old Carter Lumber.
Yeah, that's a pretty good way.
It is.
Yeah. They got a place up there, used to make storage buildings and decks just beyond Eastland on the right.
Well, called it Dunk's Junk. Sinclair or Economy Building.
Economy
Supply.
Building right there. I don't know if they still operating it, but
No, that thing's falling.
it done fell in. That'd be a good spot.
What about right there where they had the old flea market at, right in there? Is that any of that?
And that's what I mean. There's properties like that
Uh,
that aren't used that somebody might be willing to sell. You'd still have some demolition to do.
I mean, I'd ask the people here if they've done an environmental.
Okay.
And you a clear environmental study, that might still be an option, but
yeah, but if we buy that piece of property, ain't we got to clean the whole piece of property up?
not if we only buy one parcel. What?
I was asked by the county manager to do the drone video and did some research on it. A phase one is available on the property from the current owners. Typically, I have seen when a client does a phase one, they know there's contamination, so you're probably going to have to do a phase two. The other site, the other video that she showed you, it's also 4 feet below grade. So you need to take that consideration. So she goes back to the other photo that you're at, not that one, because that one's split. That property is on, the one she just showed you is on 74 Business and Commonwealth. That property there is 4 feet below grade.
Oh, that's a basement. That's a basement. Like
That's the
It was a basement. So you walked onto the property and it goes about 4 feet below. I guess that's where all the floor joists and the beams were at. That's why they bought that property, to salvage that timber. So when I went on the property, I actually stepped down into that.
What does that mean as far as for what we want to use it for?
That means you're going to have a lot of fill material.
Right. No.
$400-something thousand is what they're asking for the properties.
How big is the smaller lot?
One's about 7 and change. The other one is 14 plus.
No.
That made my mind up right there.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mark.
Right.
Thank you, whoever you
Better
are.
land.
So if you want to explore Business 74 again, and you want to give me, I guess, the authority to call owners and explore their interest in selling, we can do that.
I think we should do that.
Would you also like me to extend your perimeter as far as looking for sites?
So where would be the center of East Laurinburg? What
Then of East Lawn will probably be around Fifth Street.
around Fifth Street?
Yeah, we know we ain't doing it there. So.
Right.
I just
Is
think
that up near
this is
Charles
something
Calder?
we
Is that
need
is
to
that where
move
that's at?
forward and
That's
do.
beyond.
Where Clark's Barbershop is, that's Fifth Street, where you turn
Yeah.
on the
And there's
corner.
nothing up in there or anything?
That's Fifth Street, not
On,
that
if you,
I-
on the south side of Business 74, what, those roads that run out toward the old Dixie Guana plant. that's-
Well, there was the old Dixie Guana, the old Piedmont Communication Building that burnt, that was for sale. That would have been an ideal location, but they've sold it.
That would have been a good spot.
Well, I would think that we need to be aggressive toward what's out there and what we need to do this. It's just, we need to get this done.
But contact the owners. Land does not have to be up for sale to be sold.
Right.
Yeah, you could ask them if they would like to donate it first.
I will do.
Because if you can find something that ain't got something on it,
Oh,
that way we don't have to.
That's
Okay.
right.
Hey,
I-
all I
well,
can tell you is no.
if you are wanting to be, I guess, aggressive, I will just start looking at land and making calls.
Absolutely. I think we need to get aggressive with it.
If that's, I'll
The
be glad to
trash
do it.
Though there's only getting worse.
Yeah.
Correct.
Though there's a weekend, it's only
Right.
getting worse.
I would think we give you the leeway to do what you need to do to find a piece of property.
That's what we'll do.
Check that old econ.
I don't even know who owns that now. I guess the same person owns that flea market.
Right.
But paying that kind of money for that property, that's
Not
not a good plan.
Can he be forced to clean that up?
Or that Steve.
I mean, that's awful.
Good question. I don't know.
Well, and riding by, you can't see all that because it's, there's woods or a small.
Still, but ain't
Like
that,
tree line.
ain't that dangerous to children in the community?
Well,
I mean, it looks like they could get hurt in there.
Answer
pretty
There's a
hard.
lot of other places in East Laurinburg worse than that.
I ain't seen none.
Is
not
that,
worse
is
than
that, is
Go
that,
down Ninth Street.
is that fenced? Is there a fence around that?
it used to be, but some of it is
No.
probably.
Not
Some
anymore.
of
But it just looks like to me that, people can get hurt in there. It looks like it's a bad health.
There
risk
is
to
some
me.
fencing around it. Now, if you wanted to get in, you're going to get in.
Yeah.
Because it's not locked tight, but there is fencing around it.
Well, I'm just saying, I mean, for people to just come in here and do this and leave this in our county and just leave it looking like that in our county to make our county look trashed. I mean, it looks like we can come up with some kind of ordinance to make them clean this thing up. Just a thought.
Yeah.
I mean, they come in here and buy this stuff and they just leave it there. And they leave it for us to look at and the neighbors in the community to look at. And, that's not hardly fair to the Scotland Countyans. Just a thought.
I think what you're going to see is your solid waste task force is going to come back with some conversations about properties that need to be cleaned up and how we want to address that as a county. So those conversations are happening. Okay, North Carolina State Extension and our Cooperative Extension Memorandum of Agreement. That is due coming in January. There are two options for this. So one option is called a lock-in. And if you choose to be a lock-in county, then you lock yourselves in to paying the salary to our cooperative extension agents that the state university system says we have to pay them. If you choose to be an unlocking county, all you do is give them the COLA that is required by the state, and you can continue to set their salaries. We have historically been an unlock county. I would like to remain an unlock county, and that's how I recommend to sign the MOA.
Need a motion.
Yes.
Motion.
Mhm.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Okay.
We have a motion, and are we clear on what that's for?
Yeah.
COLA.
The COLA adjustment, right? Yeah, okay. All right, any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right,
And the last thing I will mention is good, exciting news. Our Scotland County Memorial Library is closed this week for some major renovations. That library is getting painted. Here's some designs of what your new library will look like. It's getting painted. The bathrooms are getting, I guess you'd say, gutted and handicap accessible. The front door will become handicap accessible, and all new shelving that is lowered for more convenience and handicap or disabled people as well. So towards the end of the week, that library, the inside will have a whole different look. And then within this budget year, it will also have a new paved parking lot, which it desperately needs if you've gone there lately. So,
so Jenna's done a lot of work and just been there a couple of
That's
days,
true.
right?
yes, yes. It's kind of fitting. This was Mr. Leon's big project,
Right.
and so it is coming to fruition.
That paving,
starting
is
this
that
week.
gonna be the side road beside it as well?
Just
You
the
know what
parking.
I mean? That side
I
road?
doubt that. I believe it'll just be the parking lot.
So the one
Is
that
that right,
runs,
Mike?
not
Church.
not
The alleyway that you mean that runs right beside the building?
Goes out to Church Street. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Right, just the parking lot.
they
and
gonna
then that-
pave it?
Yes.
Okay.
And so that's my report.
Y'all need to make a motion on that brick grant to,
is that what this resolution in the packet? Okay, I was gonna ask that question.
yeah, that's what that is.
So the brick grant.
That was what was in the packet.
Yeah, the
Right.
resolution to appoint agents.
So moved.
All right, motion,
Second.
second. Any more discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you, ma'am. All right, I have lost myself now. There it is. Next will be our county commissioner news, and we'll start on this end. Commissioner Frizell,
I ain't got nothing this time.
Commissioner Gibson,
Nothing.
McFadder,
Nothing.
Williams, nothing.
Hey,
Yeah,
Never mind, I ain't got nothing.
I just had
Mr.
one
Alford.
thing. When are we going to put the sign up at IEJ? I don't, I was asked a question this past week. Is it IEJ Community Center or is it Scotland County? And I don't know that we have decided that, but we need to do it so that we can get it's open and we don't have our signs up.
I just assumed it would be the Ellis Johnson Community Center, but I mean, I don't want to assume that, but
We need to discuss that.
If that's what.
I think
what are
that's
we
the
gonna-
name that's kind of gone out, but we hadn't formally said
yeah,
that's.
and it's still on the gym, right?
Yeah, that's
I
all
mean,
that's been used so far.
But we need to just,
We probably need to formally do. Call for
Do it.
motion
Alice Johnson.
that it be a Johnson Community
I
Center.
second.
All right, motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Yeah, I have a question. The lettering on it, are we gonna update that or is it gonna stay the way it is?
No, that's a good suggestion, John. I second that too.
You
Well,
look
let's
at
get
it.
the
We
first
do.
motion off.
We, oh,
But that would
Yeah,
be
let's
part-
get the
that's
the
part
motion
of the
off
sign.
on the name first.
Wouldn't that be part, that, see, on the gym it say IEJ and that's,
Yes.
that lettering is, you know,
Right.
may want to keep it, but we need to include that in with the signage so that whoever's ordering can take care of it.
Say that motion. Take care of that motion.
I think April has something that.
oh, I was just gonna say, we are in the works of getting the sign out front of the school
Okay.
updated, that lettering.
Oh, okay, that's what
We've
I-
ordered your plaque with I. Johnson Community Center on it.
Okay.
For the inside, which names the commissioners and the architect and all that. So, a lot of things are kind of in the works to get all that signage right.
Okay. All right,
So
so
you would like for us to pass this motion to conform with what you've already.
Well,
said?
it's not too late to change that sign, but yeah.
Don't need
So-
to change this.
All right, so motion and a second. We've had our discussion. What, you got something else?
Just come back to me. about
Oh,
something.
okay. All right. Anything else? All right. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right. Thank you. Commissioner Gibson, nothing. You said you did have something.
I do.
Yeah.
Two things, and you may have mentioned before I got here, but we met, Chairman and I met with Jason and Ms. Tyson to start planning the holiday meal for staff that we did last year. We were a little late starting last year, so it kind of got moved out. Do either of you remember that date that we wanted to suggest?
December 6th.
Yeah, you said it first.
December the 6th is a date that we want to suggest for that meal to be. And just want to kind of throw that date out for county commissioners so that we can make ourselves available to be there. Working out the final details on it, but that's the plan. And it will be held at IAJ Community Center is the plan.
Right.
Yeah.
In the,
Gonna be kind of like it was last year.
The same way, kind of
11 to 2 or something
Yes,
like
sir.
that,
Yeah,
whatever the time was.
Yes, sir.
it won't be in the gym. It'll be in the
Library.
library, I call it. So whatever it is.
My second thing that just kind of remember, I mentioned this in passing, but I think it would be important for us to hopefully, maybe be first of the year, plan some type event to say thank you to Representative Pierce and Senator Britt for their work in the General Assembly in securing the funds that they've gotten for us in this budget cycle. Maybe first of the year, but
Right.
if we could plan something,
Okay.
I think that would be good for us to show our thanks to them.
Anything else?
That's all I got.
Just for an informational thing, and I asked Jason to look into this, and I think I spoke to April too about it. We're still in need of a more permanent meeting facility place. And so now we know we're going to be building the new EMS with a larger room there, right? Training room over there. That's the plans. And, but so I asked him to look into putting a days in here on this. It would take up less than what we're taking up now, but just to find out cost and that kind of thing on it. So no need for a motion or anything tonight, but, just, yeah, a raised, elevated type thing. So, we kind of didn't do that before because we didn't want to take up their training room space, but now they're going to have another whole one over there too. So, we'll exert executive privilege on that. So anyway, anything else from anybody? All right, we need a motion to go into closed session pursuant to the items listed on your agenda. I'm not going to read it. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
John seconded. Bo motioned it. John seconded. All right. So we will go into closed session. Thanks everybody for coming tonight. That'll do it for us. Well, no, it won't. I'm just putting some of this mess up.
Are we gonna have an off?